Alright, so you're going to die one day. And, as it says in my favourite film, Braveheart, every man dies, not every man really lives. Which means that every man dies, but not every man really lives. So most people I see, they're walking around, they're not alive. Vitality, purpose, meaning, depth, joy, understanding, peace of mind. They're not living, they're getting by. They're zombies, how are you getting by? Not too bad, can't complain, hanging in there. It could be worse, want to kill myself.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Terrible. So you've got to live with purpose, direction. You've got to know what am I doing? What am I meant to do whilst I'm here? What was I put here for? Why am I here? Nate, you can see from there? Mm-hmm. No, you can't. Come and see. Nate, don't try. Go last. I'll take you both. I'll take you both. So, I went to Manchester University, studied philosophy, and I realised no one's happy, and I thought I better work out what's the purpose of life. My grandfather died when he was 100 years old. Before he died, he said to me, "You don't want to live a nice, should have life." I said, "What do you mean, grandfather?" And he said, "When you get to 90, you don't have so much to look forward to, so you look back. I really should have spent more time with my kids, less time at work. Should have worked out how to be happy. Should have told my wife more often how much I love her. Should have travelled more. Should have..." Oh,
there he is.
You're so lucky. Sit down. You can still carry on, wasn't he?
Yeah, still go.
Yeah. So, he said, don't get to 90 years old and regret your life. Get to 90 years old and look back on your life and think, I lived an amazing life. I didn't just go through with the blinkers on and just go through automated whatever. I lived a conscious, joyful, amazing, powerful, meaningful life. So that made sense to me. So I came back to university and I developed the 3 questions of living a well thought out life. 3 questions of living a well thought out life. Number 1. What do you believe? What do you believe? So I used to go around and I used to ask people who I thought were over the age of 90. That was a criteria. I didn't tell them that was a criteria. But basically the most old, wrinkly people I could find. And I'd say to them, do you believe in life after death? Do you believe in life after death? And the number 1 answer was?
I don't know. Yes.
The number 1 answer was not yes. And it was not no. It was, I don't know, I'm not sure, I hope so, could be, haven't really thought about it. And I'd say, my friend, you're going to die soon. I didn't say that. I did think that though. You better work this out. Don't you think it's important to work these things out? And they were really like, just go away, you stoned philosophy student. Just leave me alone. So I was like, okay. I'm like, you don't know what you believe. You don't even know what you believe. I don't know what I believe. So I ask people, do you believe in God? And they say yes. I say, well, what is God? And they're like, this higher power. I'm like, what do you mean a higher power? What does that mean? Gravity? Like what? And they're like, you know? And I'm like, yes, I do know. You don't know. If you can't define God, it's funny to say you believe in God. If you don't have a clear definition, you can say it and feel, there's a higher power. But I won't need a clear definition. God is an infinite, conscious, intelligent, loving creator of the universe. That's what God is, and I can prove all of those points. I know what God is. That's what God is. In my life, beyond my life, everything. Very important. Sustainer, every second. Fine. Number 1 question in life. What do you believe is very, very, very important, because there's something called objective truth. Objective truth. It is true or not true. It's a statement of fact. Either there is a God or there isn't. Once we've defined what God is, once we agree on a definition of God, that either exists or it doesn't exist. It doesn't depend on what you believe. Well, if I believe it, well, my truth says, and what resonates with me, that's sweet. If I say there's poison in this cup, I don't care what your truth is or what resonates with you. If you drink that and I was right, then you are going to die. So, and someone said to me, there's no such thing as objective truth. And I said, is that objectively true? There you go. So there is such thing as objective truth. There is such thing. It either is or isn't. My parents have a dog. My parents have a dog. Once we define what a dog is, but I think we're pretty clear on that. That's either true or false. It's not if you believe it, they do, and if you don't believe it, they either do or they don't. They don't, by the way. That was an untrue statement of fact, but it was not a true. You see this? There's only called objective truth. You better work out what that is, because Christians say that the objective truth is if you don't believe that Jesus died for your sins, you're going to hell. And if that's true, by the way, I don't care. You can be the nicest person in the world. If you don't believe that, you are going to hell. So you better work this out. It's very important. People say, okay, but why does it matter? Just be a good person. It matters, because if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell. Or if Buddhism says that you have to go and meditate in a cave and don't get married, and Judaism says you should get married, they say you don't have a soul, they say you do have a soul. So it's actually very, very critical that you understand what the truth is, because you want to live in line with the truth, because there are consequences. Or there aren't consequences, and it's okay. If the atheists are right, by the way, do what you like. It doesn't matter, because there's no consequences. You die, they die, it's okay. But you've got to work out, what is it? It's very important. Second question. Why do you believe that? Why do you believe what you believe? Everything you believe really for one of two reasons, unless you're a little bit more conscious. The two reasons you believe everything you believe are: someone told you. Your parents, your school, your society, your friends, or in the same one is, or you're rebelling against what they told you, so you're just like, I hate you all, so I'm not going to believe that. No. But in general, 98% of people on the planet are just a product of their society. If you were born in India, you'd believe in many gods, and if you were born in China, you'd be a communist. If you were born in Mesharim, you'd all have 10 children by now. If you were born basically where you are born, that's going to make what you believe. Even in terms of your football team, what football team do you support? The one that I was born near. If you were born 3 hours up the motorway, you'd support the other football team. So you basically just become a product of your society. Most people never, including religious Jews, by the way. I'd say 90% of religious Jews, 95% of religious Jews are just religious because that's what they were told and that's how they were brought up. That's the number one reason people believe what they believe. Number two reason people believe that what they believe is because they want to believe that. It makes me feel good. I want to believe that there's life after death because I don't want there to be anything. Or I don't want there to be life after death because I don't want there to be consequences. I want to believe it's okay for a Jew to marry a non-Jew because I'm in love with my Japanese girlfriend. I want to believe it's okay to eat kosher food because I really like Burger King Whoppers. I was like, you believe what makes you feel good and what you want to believe. It's not a good reason for believing things. Third question. How do you know you're right? There is an objective truth. Is the pig is spiritually harmful for Jewish people or it's not? It's one or the other. Don't care if you believe it or not. So what's true? Buddha says you don't have a soul. Sam Harris says you don't have a soul. Sam Harris says you have no free will. I say you are free will. One of us is right, one of us is wrong. We're not both right. You can't both be right. One of us is right, one of us is wrong. How do you know you're right? Very important question. How do you know you're right? You know what most people say when I ask that question? You don't. You don't. You can't know you're right. Not true. Not true. How do you know your mother is your mother? DNA test? Pictures. She told you. Okay. Mannerisms, characteristics and mannerisms. You look like her. The photos, everyone says she's your mum. You've been living with her as long as you can remember. What's that called? What's that called? Hillel Meir. Hillel Meir, what's that called, all these things? Evidence. I got evidence. I got enough evidence that I know she's my mummy. How do you know there's a country called China? Because everything was made there. Read all the things. It says made in China. And you've seen China on the map. And you met Chinese people. And you've eaten Chinese food. I lived in China for 6 weeks. More. About 2 months I lived in China. And in China, it's amazing. They call Chinese food, they just call it food. It's amazing. So I know there's a place called China because I got lots of evidence that there's a place called China. So I left university. I was like, I've got to work out what's true. I'm going to go equipped with my 3 lessons, my 3 questions, and I'm going to find out. I'm going to ask everyone. So I went. I lived in Asia for 6 years, in Laos. That's me in Nepal. That's me in Shaolin. This is me. This is me in Sri Lanka. That's actually in India. This is me in Laos. So I lived and I was asked, I do all 10-day silent meditation retreats. I got a black belt in Taekwondo, brown belt in Aikido, yoga retreats, fasting for 7 days. I did a lot of things just trying to find out the truth. What do you believe? Buddhists, what do you believe? Amazing. Why do you believe that? Because Buddha said so. How do you know it's true? Because Buddha said so. No, but how do you know that that's true? Because I felt it in my meditation. No, you felt something in your meditation and you put your your Buddhist education onto that experience. The Christian had exactly the same experience in his meditation, and he just said that's Christ consciousness, and you called it Buddha mind, and he called it Krishna consciousness, and so that's not evidence. That's just you're saying that you were told it, and it feels right. That's not evidence. Where's your evidence? So I traveled 6 years in Asia, and you could buy my book, Mastering Life, a unique guidebook to Jewish enlightenment. And then I was going to canoe down the Amazon. And I stopped in Israel for 3 weeks. Someone said to me, why don't you learn about Judaism? And I said, because it's male chauvinistic and outdated, and you think there's an angry man in the sky who's going to punish you if you don't do his rules. And the prayer book is stupid. It says, God, you're so great and awesome and mighty. And I'm like, God, you're so insecure and egotistical that you need me to tell you how great you are the whole time. And there's all stuff in the Torah that I just don't agree with. So that's why, and someone said, just start learning a bit. And I went to Sfat and I started learning deeper aspects of Torah. And I realized, hold on, we don't believe there's an angry man in the sky who's going to kill us if we don't do his little rules. We don't believe in that. There's actually an angry woman in the sky. Yeah, not even that. We don't believe that. We believe God is everything. God is the infinite, conscious, intelligent, loving creator of the universe. By the way, if God is everything and infinite, what are you? You're a piece of God. You're a piece of God. You can't be separate from God. By the way, if you're a piece of God, when you're praying and you're saying, God, you're so great and awesome and holy and mighty, what are you really saying? I am great. I'm great. That's why the word for to pray in Hebrew is lehit palel, which is a reflexive. To connect to myself, to bow. So I saw, oh my goodness, Judaism isn't stupid and sick and not spiritual. It's actually very deep and profound and amazing. But then I said, hold on a second, it's pretty cool. Now I know what you believe. I didn't like Judaism because I thought you believed this. But I just realized, hold on, you don't even believe that. You believe this, and I quite like that. That's in line with my value. I get that. But how do you know you're right? And I thought they'd say, because Moses said so. And they said, because there's evidence that there's no way a human being could have written the Torah. I heard the word I wanted to hear. Evidence. Boom, boom, boom. Show me the evidence, I said. So I came and I heard the evidence. 5 pieces of evidence that there are things written in the Torah that there's no possible way a human could have or would have written. So I took the evidence, and I didn't want to be religious. I wanted to go to South America. So I took the evidence and I basically walked the whole length of Israel from the Lebanese border to Eilat. It took 40 days. I was in lots of newspapers. And I was debating with atheists. I put all the evidence, sent it out to my atheist friends, and I said, you've got to help me refute the evidence. Because if I can't refute the evidence, I'm an intellectually honest human being. I'm going to have to be a religious Jew, and I don't feel like that yet, because I want to go to South America. After 40 days of walking the whole length of Israel, no one could refute the evidence. And now it's 14 years later, no one can refute the evidence. I've heard good arguments either way. Nothing's 100%, which we're going to look right now. There's only one thing you can know for sure, 100%, that you could never doubt at all. And what is that? That you exist. You don't know you have a body. You could exist as a brain in a jar or something, and this whole world is just a projection of something. But you can't doubt that you exist, because if you doubt that you exist, there's a you that's doubting that you exist. So how can you doubt you exist if there's no you to doubt you exist? So that's the only thing you can know 100%. But apart from that, we have 3 levels. Number 1 level is faith. Faith means strong conviction based on no evidence. There's no evidence, but I just believe it because my mum told me, because someone's very charismatic, because I want to believe it. You know what? Just believe in this and you'll go to heaven. Yeah? Okay, I believe in it. I want to go to heaven. And you've got a charismatic person and they're like, believe. And they come up to you and it hasn't rained for 2 months. And the forecast says it's not going to rain for another 2 months. And they come up to you and says, it's going to rain. It's going to rain tomorrow. I heard. The Lord spoke to me. It's going to rain tomorrow. Buy this umbrella. $100. You buy it. And you're like, okay, I'll buy it. That's called faith. blind faith, it's called stupid, it's not logical, not a good reason to believe something. There's a higher level, it's called belief. Belief is a conviction. I have some evidence. It rained last week. There are some clouds in the sky. The weather forecast says it's 20% chance of precipitation. So I can say, you know what? I believe it's going to rain tomorrow. That's belief. There's something called knowledge. Awareness of facts based on beyond a reasonable doubt evidence. You have so much evidence that it would be ridiculous not to believe it. It would be irrational not to believe it. It's rained for the last month non-stop. The clouds are in the sky, thunder clouds in the sky. The weather forecast says there is a 8% chance of rain, and you're just like, I know it's going to rain. Is there a possibility that it won't rain? 2% possibility, but knowledge isn't 100%. There's only one thing you can know 100%. Knowledge is, it's ridiculous not to believe it. So is it possible that your mum switched the birth certificate and the DNA test, and the pictures of you aren't really you as a baby, and you've just got her mannerisms and stuff just because it was very lucky, it was a coincidence, she just adopted a baby that was exactly like her, she turned it, it's minutely 1% chance. You'd be an idiot to believe it. An idiot. Is it possible that there's no country called China? It's Mongolia, and there's a worldwide conspiracy, and the maps and this, and the Chinese, the Mongolians, just to make money and corruption, and the world conspiracy. Yeah, but you're an idiot to believe that. If you're going to need 100% in any way, you'll never walk across a bridge. Because if there's a point, what percent chance it's going to collapse? You wouldn't even sit on your chair, because it might collapse, but you wouldn't not sit on your chair, because that might break the ceiling, and you couldn't eat any food ever because you might get food poisoning and you never get married. No one ever needs 100. You can't have 100%. But once you've got 95, 96, for me, by the way, once you've got 51 and you have to make a choice, I'm going with the 51. I just think we've got so much evidence that it would be ridiculous not to believe. It would be ridiculous to believe that a human being wrote the Torah. Okay? So I'm going to share one piece of evidence for you. We've done some others. Today I'm going to actually go beyond the 5 books of the Torah, and I'm going to broaden it into the Tanakh, the Nevi'im, the writings, the prophets. Beyond even the Torah, there's evidence that the books, we have 24 holy books, there's evidence that even those books were written with divine inspiration, because there's stuff in there that no human could ever know. So I'm going to show you one right now. If someone wants to just tell Dubov not to bother coming until 20 past 10, yeah. And whoever I was meant to meet at 10 o'clock.
Are you serious? That's like 10,
yeah.
10:20?
Tell Dubov to come at 10:20.
Rabbi Dov Ber.
Okay. Oh, I don't need that. Oh, I've got the wrong presentation. Oh, I found it. Okay. So here we go. Revealing the hidden. We have a scroll, an ancient text called the Megillah Esther. The Megillah Esther, the scroll of Esther. And we read it every year on the festival of Purim. Purim is a festival which really, and the scroll of Esther is telling the story of Purim, which around 2,000 years ago the Jewish people were exiled to Persia, when we stopped following the Torah, and therefore an evil man, an evil man, Haman, rose up to try and kill all the Jews in a final solution. Let's wipe out every single Jew. And then a Jewish woman, Esther, she became the queen, and loads of different coincidences happened. Mordechai heard a plot over to kill the king, and then the king woke up and read the right thing at the right time. Lots and lots of coincidences really all lined up, and the Jews were saved, and we won the war, and then we celebrate. That's Jewish festivals. They tried to kill us, we beat them, let's eat. That's what we do. There you go. Welcome to Judaism. Megillat Esther means the scroll of Esther. But the word Megillah, scroll, means to reveal. To reveal. Megillah. Legalot. That's why it's called, the scroll is called You're Revealing. Esther is the name of the queen, but Esther means hidden. From the word Hester, means hidden. So Megillat Esther literally means the scroll of Esther, but it also means to reveal the hidden. And our sages tell us there's something hidden in the scroll of Esther. Something doesn't appear at all, and you would expect it to appear. It's the only book of the Jewish people that doesn't have God's name. God's name doesn't appear. But what it is so clear, the whole point of the story is, there's so many coincidences. You could say it's just nature, it happened, coincidence. But there's so many coincidences, at some point it's just not a coincidence. And that's how God is revealed through the natural world. Pesach, with the plagues and the amazing, the splitting of the sea, that was God revealed in a supernatural way. Purim is all about revealing God in the natural world. We also have a tradition that when the scroll says Melech Achashverosh, the king's name, it's really referring to the king of Persia at the time. But when it just says Hamelech, the king, the simple meaning is it means the king of Persia, because God isn't mentioned, but it's hinting to God. So let's look into the scroll. This is what a Megillah Esther looks like. It's a scroll. Look at that. Uniform text, uniform writing. Uniform, all the same, all the same, all the same, all the same, till basically the very end. BAM! Crazy, significant formatting change here. Bigger letters, just 2 letters per line. So basically what's going on here, it says, we won the war and we killed 500 men. This is men, including and also Pashandata, and also Dalphon, and also Aspata, and also Prata, and also Adalia, and also Radalia, and also 10 of Haman's sons. Now, have we heard of Haman's sons before, ever in the text? No. Do we hear about them after in the text? No. Is it significant what their names are? No. So why do we have such a significant formatting change for such an insignificant detail of the story? I would think that this should be the most significant part of the whole story. This is saying, look over here! Something significant is going on. Also, why is this list of names unlike any other list of names in the Megillah? And also, just say Pashadat, Dalphon, Aspat, and also the last one. And also. So I'm not the first person to ask these questions. Do you know who also asked these questions? Our sages, 2,000 years ago. Come with me, children. Why the anomalies? First one, why such a significant formatting change for such an insignificant detail? The Gemara teaches us actually 2 things. One thing it teaches us is to teach us that they will not rise from their downfall. That's a bit strange, seeing as they're dead. I wouldn't really expect them to. So it gives a second answer. In the Talmud, Megillah Sikdim B, it says, the names of Haman's sons are written like this because they are a shira. They're a song. It's a song. The names of Haman's sons is a song. What? What sort of song is that? What? I don't understand. Why would it say it's a song? Because we have other songs in the Torah. In the Torah, songs are written with formatting changes. We've got the song of the sea and Ha'azinu, which have formatting changes, and they're called songs. And our sages teach us an amazing thing, which is songs have a prophetic element to them. As Yashir is talking about the future, and Ha'azinu is predicting future events, song is hinting to some future occurrence. Why Ve'et? The Gemara tells us again. In Ketubot it says, Ve'et teaches us to include something or someone extra. Ve'et doesn't mean just this list, it's Ve'et. There's an extra thing going on here. So in this part of the text, we have 2 things that are hinting us, saying, look, there's something extra. Big significant formatting change in the Ve'et is saying to you, there's something extra going on here. Now, let's see what it actually says at this part of the text. Great opportunity for the Jews. In Shushan, the capital, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men, including Pashadat and Dalphon and Spat and Parat and Adalia and Adarir and Pashan and 10 sons of Haman. Whoa! By the way, how many sons did Haman have? There are several different versions. Some people say 30, some say 40, some say 90, and some say 208. Those are the versions I've seen. So out of the 208 sons, or 30 sons, 10 of them were hanged. Right? The king hint, says to Esther, what is your petition? It shall be granted. What is your request? It shall be done. Anything you like, I'll do. Esther, you want something? I'll give it to you. You've got to understand, the king was the most powerful person on the face of the planet. He was the king over 127 nations. This is the most powerful person, I'm right at the beginning. This is the most powerful person on the face of the planet. Asking Esther, you can have whatever you want. Your request is your wish is my command. What would you ask for? If you were Esther, what would you ask for?
Save the Jews.
Save the Jews. We kind of already saved, but you'd say maybe, can we have a palace and an area in the land where we'll always be protected? I like that. Or, can we go back to Israel? Or, immunity from the law? Or, no taxes? Something significant. You'd ask, great opportunity. Ask for something significant. The most powerful person on the face of the planet has offered you anything you like. Ask for a lifetime supply of Ben & Jerry's. Something. Anything, Esther. So what does Esther ask for? Are you excited? Our queen, the representative of the Jewish people, our queen can ask for anything. Are you excited to see what she asked for? Something definitely very significant. Watch. If it please the king, let it be granted also tomorrow, as was done in Shushan today, and let the 10 sons of Haman be hanged. Esther! Big opportunity! You just went into the White House. Biden says you can have anything. Well, I'd like a McDonald's hamburger, please. What? Why are you asking me that? By the way, we do have a precedent for this. King David, hold on, why is it, before we even get to that, why is this extra weird? Not only is it not significant, what's extra weird for this?
They're already dead.
They're already dead! We just killed them! Hi, could you please hang the 10 dead people? Now, there is a precedent. David Melech would hang some of his dead enemies just to say, don't mess with us. But that's David Melech. I'm the king, I can do anything, so I'm going to hang them. But for the queen to request that when she could have had anything, that's a crazy thing to ask for. Our sages say it's also weird that she says machal, tomorrow. Why did she specify tomorrow? Sages say this. There is a tomorrow. When the Torah uses the word machal, it's referring to it does mean tomorrow. And a tomorrow, machal, which means later. Machal is also hinting to the future. We have 7 verses from chapter 9, verse 6 to chapter 9, verse 13. In those 7 verses, there are 3 references to the future. There's a formatting change, there's the ve'et, and there's the machal. And she's asked for a very weird thing. You've got to understand very clearly, these 7 verses are a crazy part of it. It just makes no sense. Nothing about this makes any sense. It's crazy. Here are the 3 references to the future. Formatting change, ve'et, and machal. So let's go into the future. October the 16th, 1946. That's before you were born, children. What happened on that day? Come with me. Front page of the New York Times. Goering ends life by poison. 10 others hanged in Nuremberg prison for Nazi war crimes. 10 people hanged for trying to kill all the Jews. 10 people were hanged for trying to kill all the Jews. Could be a coincidence, but we got an exact parallel here. Exact parallel. Now, by the way, how many Nazis were on trial? Do you know? 24. I think it should have been 2,400. 24 on trial. Of the 24 on trial, 12 of them got acquitted or sent to prison. 12 of them got sentenced to hanging. 12 were going to be hanged. One of them ran away. Bormann ran away, we call him later. And Goering killed himself. If Goering hadn't killed himself, it would have been 11. It wouldn't have matched up. If Bormann hadn't run away, it would have been 12 or 11 immediately. If more of them got convicted, if there were 20 If 20,000 on trial, then it would have been more. If 5 of them had committed to suicide, any other factor, anything, it wouldn't have worked out. You hear this? Very important. Secondly, there are 4 ways that military tribunals kill people: chair, poison, shooting, and hanging. So the Nazis wanted to be shot. They said, we're soldiers. It's a military thing. We deserve to get shot. It's honorable. And they said, no, it was a crime against humanity. You shouldn't get shot. So they got hanged instead. So we got these 2 factors here. 24 Nazis, that's a 1 in 24 chance. There's a 1 in 4 chance. It's not really 1 in 4 to be fair, because they were always going to be shot or hanged. So here we go. This is something pretty cool though. The Nazis and Haman's sons were already connected in the minds of the people long before the Nuremberg trials. 1930s, this is from a newspaper article, European Jews connected Haman and Hitler, taking particular joy in the Megillah reading, especially at the hanging of Haman's sons. What did the Jews of the 1930s think about when they read these names, when they read these 7 Pesukim in 1930? What did they think about? They interpreted it as the eventual downfall of the Nazis. They already connected these 2 groups of people. Hitler himself, January 30th, 1944, said if the Nazis are defeated, the Jews could celebrate the destruction of Europe in a second triumphant Purim festival. Hitler himself was connecting these 2 events, even before there was a second event to connect to it. He did. Very, very important to understand this. Just one other thing. This is Hapoken newspaper on the 18th of October 1946, 2 days after the trials, and it was such an ingrained thing that the Nazis and the Haman sons were the same people that in this newspaper, this is Nuremberg, and this is B'nai Haman. Nuremberg and the Haman sons. So we got this already connected before it even happened. Very important to see that there's pre-connection between these 2 groups of people. It's not like we looked for something in the future to match up in the past. It was already a predicted thing before it even happened. We were waiting for it. So what's this? This is where it gets, well...
I'm just confused. Like, so you're making a similarity between...
I'm not making it.
Oh.
Everyone in the 1930s was saying that Nazis are Haman's sons.
Okay.
I didn't say that. I'm just telling you what...
But it didn't predict like another...
No.
They're pretty amazing.
You watched it. Don't worry.
Okay, watch out.
I got something more amazing. By the way, at this point, it could just be a coincidence, to be fair. There are enough texts and enough events in human history that you'd expect something to go out. This is where it gets beyond coincidence. Statistically, we have a tradition that there are small letters in the Megillah. In the Megillah scroll, there are some small letters. Now, the first place we really read about this is in something called the Midrash de Rabbi Akiva. It's in the 1st century, 1,000 years ago. This isn't written by the Rabbi Akiva. Midrash de Rabbi Akiva talks about small letters appearing in the Megillah. Now, do I know that there were small letters in the original Megillah? I don't know that. The small letters aren't mentioned in the Talmud. But at least 1,000 years ago, we see these small letters appearing. I'll tell you the truth, I know Jewish people, religious Jewish people, we don't tend to mess around with our texts. Someone 1,000 years ago, very unlikely that they're just going to put small letters in. But, that makes it clear to me that they were in from before that. But let's say even if they did, for some reason, since 1,000 years ago, every single Megillah scroll, every single printed, everything ever has small letters in it. Now, there's not just one version of these small letters though. There are 7 different versions of these small letters. In the next few centuries, if you look here, there's traditions. So once the printing press came about 600 years ago, they had to choose one of the versions to put in this printed edition. Now you have to understand, this is very, very significant, because whichever version they choose, that becomes the standardized text. Why? Because that's the one that gets sent out to every community, and everyone copies from that. So 600 years ago, the editor, Yaakov ben Chaim ben Adonijah, apparent quote, devoted immense effort to work out which one of these is most authoritative. I got to choose one of these 7 versions to basically standardize as the version. So he chose one of those 7 versions, 600 years ago. Every single printed Chumash has these small letters and no others. By the way, some of them have 2 small letters, some of them have 3, some of them have 4, some of them have 5 small letters. They're different versions, different numbers of small letters. However, in each and every single version, where did the small letters appear? In the names of Ham and Sons. It's not one at the beginning of the scroll and one at the end of the scroll and one in the middle. In every version, these small letters appear in and only in the name of Ham and Sons. So they chose one version. 98% of every Megillah scroll we have ever found, including the oldest ones we have this version in it. I'm going to show you which version it is, and it's the one we use today. Hello. This is from 1465. This is almost 100 years before the printing press. 1465 Iberian Megillah. This is also before the printing press, a European Megillah, and they both have the small letters in it. Can you see the small letters in the names of Ham and Sons? No? That's okay, because I did this. In the first name of Ham and Sons, there's a very small taf. This is a 600-year-old Megillah. There's a very small taf there.
Where's Malta?
In the 7th name, there's a very small shin. And in the last name, there's a very small zayin. Taf Shin Zayin. Taf Shin Zayin.
Are they actually part of the name?
That's part of the name. Pashandata. Paramasta. The part of the name. In this one, also, this one's in Iberia, this one's in Europe. Pashandata, there's a very small taf. There's a very small shin. And there's a very small zayin. 600 years ago, this became the standardized version of the text. 3 small letters. There are only 3 small letters in the Megillah scroll. Every single Megillah scroll. They all appear in the names of Ham and Sons. This is another crazy anomaly in these 7 verses of the Megillah. What's going on here? It's a crazy anomaly. Now, by the way, in Jewish numerology, Tav Shin Zayin is 707. Taf is 400, Shin is 300, and Zayin is 7. So 707 will become relevant soon. What is amazing about Taf Shin Zayin, by the way? Here's a more modern scroll. Taf Shin Zayin. Why does this make me very, very, very excited and make me know that there's no way it's just a coincidence that the events, lined up?
Well, you mean the Holocaust and...
What's this got to do with the Holocaust? Who cares that there are 600 years ago we got 3 small letters? I want to find something to do with the Holocaust. So watch this. Let's go back to the front page of the newspaper I just showed you. What year in the Hebrew calendar, do you know what year we are in the Hebrew calendar now?
703.
We're in Tav Shin Pei Bet, just for another 2 days. We're in Tav Shin Pei Bet, which is the year 782. 782. Tav Shin Pei Bet. Tav is 400, Shin is 300, Pei is 80, Bet is 2. 782. The year that the Nazis were hanged, the Hebrew calendar was Tav Shin Zayin, the year 707. This was standardized 600 years ago. This is another newspaper, Haaretz newspaper, Tav Shin Zayin. That's how we write. How do you write the year that the Nazis were hanged? You write it Tav Shin Zayin. That's how you do it in newspapers, in books, anything, Tav Shin Zayin. By the way, some people say, but what about the millennia? We're in the 6th millennia now. We're in 5782 now, and this was 5707. The truth is, it doesn't matter because this is how you write the year. They don't write the millennia in the newspapers, so it doesn't make any difference. But just for fun, there is one big letter in the names of Ham and Sons. One big letter. It's this, a Vav. Does anyone know what the Vav is? What number that is?
6.
Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav. 6. The 6th millennia could be. The Talmud, by the way, just says it's because all the sons were hanged on one pole, which is also a strange thing for the Talmud to say for an insignificant detail. Why do I need to have a big Vav to tell me that? Who cares? It doesn't make any difference. So it could, by the way, a hey would have also worked, because we could say it's 5707, but Vav and hey are the only two letters that could have even meant anything. But for me, it doesn't matter. I'm concentrating on the small letters. Small letters is what's important. So let's see this facts and statistics. I'm very into facts and statistics, by the way, because this could be like conspiracy theory and buying what isn't. No, I'm like, let's do this scientifically. There's a scientific study here. So look, this is what we have. 3 references to the future in the relevant part of the text. Macha, ve'et, and the shira, the formatting change. No one can argue with that, by the way. We have ancient traditions that this is what these things mean. Only 10 sons were hanged out of, it's actually 30, 40, 90 or 208. Any other number of sons were hanged. If 11 sons were hanged, 9 sons, 200 sons, any other, it just wouldn't have matched up. Exactly the right number of sons were hanged. What's the probability of that? By the way, the probability of that, if it's 1 in 208, is a big deal. It's 100, we'll see soon. This particular version was chosen. If 600 years ago, Chaim ben Adonijah had chosen one of the other versions, it wouldn't have worked. It would have only had 2 small letters, or 4 small letters, or it would not have the same letters. What made Chaim ben Adonijah 600 years ago choose that version? That was coincidence. Well, that's just a coincidence, and that's just a coincidence. And that's just a coincidence. Okay? The small letters are in the right order. The small letters are not just random, they're in the right order, in the relevant part of the text, by the way. That's a 1 in 10,648 chance. If you've got 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph Bet, that means to get any particular 3-letter combination is 1 in 10,648 chance. Any other combination, it wouldn't have worked. Any other number of letters, it wouldn't work. There's one big letter that could refer to the millennia. These are the only small letters, and they appear in the relevant part of the text. You know what? If they appeared in a wrong order, a Zion at the beginning, and a Taf in the middle, and a Shin at the end, I might not have even worked this out. We just said there were, I might have, but it really helps. It really helps that it was coincidentally exactly where I needed it, in exactly the right order, coincidentally. There was a pre-established connection between the sons and the Nazis. They were already talking about the sons and the Nazis are the same thing. These 2 events are already connected. Only 10 Nazis were hanged. What if Goring didn't commit suicide? It would have been 11. It would have messed the whole thing up. What if another person what if 12 were hanged? Messed the whole thing up. Any other number of Nazis. And 1 in 24 is being really nice, because there are 2,400 Nazis that should have been on trial. Very nice. And they were hanged in the exact year that matches the small letters. If they were hanged the year before, or the year after, or any other year in that millennium, there are 1,000 years. If they were married in the year 701, or the year 243, or the year 979, it wouldn't have worked. They were in the only year that would have worked. No other year would have worked. Well, that's a coincidence. It's all a coincidence. That's a coincidence. That's a coincidence. It's all a coincidence. At some point, statistically, it's ridiculous. It's unrational. It's unreasonable and irrational to say it's a coincidence. So I spoke to an applied statistician. He said to match the number of sons hanged to the number of Nazis hanged is 1 in 720 if there are 30 sons, and 1 in 4,992 if there are 208 sons. You can talk to the applied statisticians. You can work it out yourself, but I can put you in touch with people. To match the small letters, 1 in 10,648 for the year the Nazis, 1 in 1,000 is 1 in 10,648,000 chance. Let's say I have 2 roulette wheels. 2 roulette wheels, by the way, they're already connected somehow. But that one's from China, and that one's from South America, but they have the same design on it, and somehow they're connected, Priya. Then I spin them both, and this one has 10,648 slots. And then this one has 1,000 slots. And I spin them. Let's say I spin this one first. Lands in 707. And then I spin this one, and it lands in 707. Exactly matching. That's a 1 in 10,648,000. So he says, but once again, pinpoint accuracy. Any other number of Haman sons, any other number of Nazis, any other letter combo, any other number of letters, any other version chosen, any other year, it would not. He chosen any other version. It wouldn't have matched up. You had to have every single thing pinpoint accuracy. Any one little thing changes, it's not going to work. It's like rolling the same number on a 6-sided dice 15 times in a row. Here's a 3. Okay, do you think I can do this? Yeah. 3. Well, 3 threes in a row, that's unbelievable. It's just lucky, it's a coincidence, it's just lucky because it's a 1 in 6 chance. 3. 4. You're going to bet with me now? I bet I can roll another 3. I'll be, yeah, of course I'll bet with you because it's very unlikely you roll another 3. You roll another 3. 5. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I say to you again, come on, do you want to bet with me? I can roll another 3. And I'll be like, well, yeah, of course. There's no way you'll roll another 3. And bam, another 3. 6 threes in a row. And then I say to you, you want to bet with me again? I bet I can roll another 3. And you say, well, yeah, of course I'll bet with you because there's no way you'll roll another 3. Bam, 7 threes in a row. At some point you stop betting. He's cheating. You cannot roll 15 threes in a row. He must have been cheating. It's a weighted dice, or it's a digital dice that whatever it lands on 3 comes up, or there's a cheating. The problem with our story is you can't cheat. It was standardized 600 years ago. There's no way to cheat. You can't we didn't get all the Megillah scrolls and change them after 1946. It's impossible to cheat in this case. Just 2 other cool things. The trial ended in June 1946, which was the year 706. Tafshin Vav. Not sentencing. Sentencing was in June 1946. They were sentenced to be hanged in June 1946. How long after sentencing, in general, is the sentencing carried out? Month, 2. It took them 3 months to hang them. They get pushed off, it get pushing off. They were asking for amnesty and they were fighting, and it got pushed off till after Rosh Hashanah, which we're coming up to, which was on September the 25th that year. Had they got hanged in June, July, August, or September up to September the 25th, that's almost 4 months, then it wouldn't have worked. Somehow it got pushed off and pushed off and pushed off until it fell into the year it needed to be. Coincidentally, very luckily. How about this? If it's going to get pushed off to after the 25th, so hang them on the 27th, it would have worked. Why wait till October the 16th? Well, what was October the 16th that year? It was Hoshana Rabbah. Hoshana Rabbah. What's Hoshana Rabbah? And I don't believe the American military tribunal who carried this out knew it was Hoshana Rabbah, but our ancient texts say on the 7th day of Sukkot, Hoshana Rabbah, the judgments of the nations of the world is finalized. Judgments are aroused and carried out on that day. They were hanged on the day that our tradition 2,000 years ago says is the day that the evil nations of the world gets judged and executed on that day. Well, that's just a coincidence. Okay, stop it now. Well, that's just another 3. I was very lucky. So you're going to tell me that it's all coincidence? By the way, even if you could give me rational explanations for each of the individual ones, you could say the 3 small letters mean this, and the 10 sons is because those were the only ones who were living at home at the time, and the Nazis in that year. Even if you could do that, you can't explain how all of those individual events lined up exactly perfectly. Even if you could give me she asked for them to be hanged because David Melech said that they should. Well, that was the president. But even, it's still a ridiculous thing to ask for. David Melech was the king. He could do anything he liked. To ask for it when you could ask for anything, that doesn't make any sense. But even, I'll give it to you. Explain all of them individually. You can never explain how they all pinpoint accurately work out. Line up. Statistically impossible. Just going to finish with this. I just want you to know that what I'm about to show you is very, 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 very cool. But the evidence I've already given you. The evidence is the 3 small letters. Let's not get confused. So if you come in at what I'm about to show you and say, well, I'll be like, cool, have it. The evidence is the 3 small letters. But I want to show you something very cool. October the 28th, 1946. 12 days after the trials, there was a write-up not after the trials, after the hanging, there was a write-up by Kingsbury Smith, an American journalist who was in the room watching the hanging, and it speaks it out. This person came and they were being hanged and everything, and this is what he says in the final paragraph.
What? Only
That's one.
Only Julius Streicher went without dignity. He had to be pushed across the floor, wild-eyed and screaming Heil Hitler. Mounting the steps, he cried, "And now I go to God." You do go to God, it's not going to be nice. He stared at the witnesses facing the gallows and he shouted, "Purim Fest, 1946. Let's just picture this.
Wow.
Nazis about to be hanged. By the way, what's even better about this for me is it wasn't even his last words. He said stuff after this. Why did Kingsbury Smith finish his article with this? That's crazy. Now, by the way, did Julius Streicher know about Purim? 100%. Hitler said it in the interview. It will be another Purim. He wrote articles about Purim, Streicher. They knew about Jewish festivals. The Nazis in the camps would give us more food on Yom Kippur. They'd look for candles on Hanukkah. He knew about it. He says, I'm not saying this is prophetic or crazy. I'm just saying a pretty crazy thing for you to say as your nearly last words. It's pretty crazy that Kingsbury Smith didn't report his actual last words and you just have this as the last words. Purim Fest. And why didn't he just say Purim Fest? Purim Fest. Why did he also have to mention the year, 1946? It would have been better if he said 707. No. Oh, very good. Oh, you can contact me.
Are you right.org?
Areyouright.org for this and other pieces of evidence that there's no way a human being could have written the Torah. Now this is a very significant piece of information because we're not saying we believe because of blind faith. I don't believe in the Torah because my mum told me. Actually, my mum didn't. She does now though, Baruch Hashem. But I don't say it because I feel like I want it. In fact, there's some things I still find very difficult. It would be easier to be a Buddhist. I believe that the Torah is true because I've got evidence that there's no way a human being could have written it, and that's very empowering. Because now I know what to do with my life. It's a spiritual guidebook from the ultimate martial arts master saying if you want to reach your spiritual potential, these are things that you should follow for your own benefit. I love you. I want to help you do these things. It's going to help you live a meaningful and deep, sweet, empowered life. And by the way, how? That you need to come to yeshiva. Or you need to read Aish.com articles and work out what is the meaning behind tefillin and all these things that seem strange to me and don't make any sense. Let's start working it out. Because now we know it's from God, there must be deep, amazing secrets for personal development and healthy relationships in every area of life that you want. You want happiness, you want good relationships, you want health, you want all these things. If God has given you a guidebook, that's an amazing thing. Now I can know how to do it. So you should take some time to do that. Judaism itself has got nothing to do with the rational thing. It's all to do about my heart and my prayer and my character traits. But the foundation of your belief has to be rational. The foundation, if your foundation of belief isn't based on evidence, then it's just blind faith. We're not into that. Hillel Meir, you have a question?
I do.
Please.
Do you believe the Torah because of what you're saying, or do you believe it's true because of this?
This is one of 5 things, yes. I believe the Torah is from God because I have seen 5 pieces of evidence that are so compelling that it's ridiculous not to believe it.